Elena lingered at the kitchen sink, observing the final traces of soap spiral away into the drain. The house lay in stillness, interrupted only by the faint murmur of the television in the background. Within the confines of the living room, yet another evening unfolds. Another dinner unfolded, marked by Robert's silence, as he scarcely engaged with her. Overly absorbed, with his phone in hand and the weight of the day's fatigue, the silence that enveloped them had elongated to an almost palpable extent. As anticipated, she let out a sigh as she wiped. Her hands rested gently on a dish towel. Marriage was never meant to evoke such a profound sense of emptiness. "Hello, Elena." Lucas's voice beckoned her. Her musings were interrupted as she glanced over to find her 22-year-old stepson framed in the kitchen doorway. A bashful smile played upon his lips. He stood tall, reminiscent of his father, yet moved with a grace that Robert had long since abandoned, his dark eyes reflecting a depth of experience. Something held warmth for Elena. She discovered herself drawn to far more than was wise. "How's it going?" she inquired. She compelled herself to adopt a nonchalant tone. He raised his belt high. The buckle contorted into an unusual angle. "I believe I have shattered. Could you assist Elena with this?" A grown man smirked. "Who is unable to mend his own? Embrace the joy and let laughter flow freely," Lucas remarked, moving in closer. "It's immovable. I've attempted to pull it, yet it remains steadfast." With a dramatic roll of her eyes, Elena extended her hand to grasp it regardless. Their hands grazed momentarily, igniting an unforeseen spark within her. She set aside her distractions and concentrated on the task at hand. The leather was unyielding, femoral clasp. With unwavering determination, she pulled at the stubbornly jammed object. Her fingers moved deftly to loosen the buckle, resulting in a sudden snap. The belt faltered, and Lucas's pants descended to his. Ships unveiled a hint of skin peeking from the waistband of his boxes for an instant. Neither of them stirred Elena's breath. Her gaze flicked to his face, where astonishment danced before the emergence of another feeling. Something beyond comprehension, calmly fixed in his demeanor. The atmosphere surrounding them grew dense, filled with an unvoiced intensity. Then Lucas released a soft chuckle, shattering the enchantment that hung in the air. That was quite a moment of humiliation. He swiftly hoisted his trousers back into place, securing them tightly. Elena let out a soft chuckle. Even as her heart raced, "It seems that belt was irretrievably lost. Indeed, it seems I ought to consider stepping back," he remarked while massaging the nape of his neck. Silence enveloped the room, and for the first time, it felt anything but comfortable. "I ought to tidy up," Elena whispered under her breath. Taking a step back indeed. "I shall seek out another belt." Lucas paused momentarily, then averted his gaze. As he stepped out of the kitchen, Elena sensed his lingering presence, as though the moment had imprinted something upon her soul. She released a tremulous breath, her fingers clutching the counter tightly. Was it merely an awkward accident? As she stood there in solitude, grappling with her swirling thoughts, a perilous realization began to seep into her consciousness. She was captivated by Lucas. He was observing her as well. The subsequent days ought to have faded the memory of that moment in the kitchen. Yet it remained a soft murmur in the air. Neither of them could silence Elena. She found herself acutely conscious of Lucas's presence, in a manner she had never experienced previously. The way he stretched in the morning, his shirt riding up to reveal a sliver of toned skin, the way his voice dipped when he spoke to her, softer than when he spoke to anyone else, she convinced herself it was a ridiculous trick. Within the realm of thought, an ephemeral spark of desire, conceived in the shadows of indifference. Yet, denial proved effective only in the moments when she was far from him one evening. A tempest unleashed its fury beyond the walls, the wind shrieking as it wove through the branches of the trees. Robert had ventured away on a business trip. The house stood hauntingly vacant, save for the presence of the two. Among them, Elena nestled on the couch, wrapped in a cozy blanket, a book resting gently in her lap. Though she hadn't flipped a page in more than 10 minutes, her mind wandered, captivated by the sound of Lucas's movements. In the kitchen, an unspoken tension hung heavily between them. At last, he emerged in the doorway, cradling 2 mugs in his hands. "I brewed a cup of tea. He mentioned that he thought you might find it helpful." Elena paused momentarily. As she accepted the mug, their fingers brushed, and she could have sworn she felt him linger. Lucas took a seat next to her. The couch loomed large, offering ample room, yet he opted for a proximity that felt almost too intimate. Otherwise, she could sense the heat radiating from his form. Beside her, his knee hovered just inches from hers. It felt burdensome. Another crack charged. The thunder rattled the house, causing Elena to flinch. Lucas realized he was not particularly fond of storms. She released a soft, airy laugh. "I have no objections. Those individuals, it is merely the house." The silence is almost palpable. In the absence of Robert, Lucas inclined his head ever so slightly. "Are you suggesting that the house has an air of silence? Or is it that you are experiencing a sense of solitude?" Elena cast a keen glance in his direction. Yet, his expression remained a mystery. He had a way of perceiving her that was almost uncanny, uncovering the remnants she sought to conceal. She perhaps consumed both. He nodded, his understanding evident, his gaze unwavering from hers. Then, without a moment's hesitation, she raised the edge of her blanket, extending an invitation. Lucas paused for a fleeting moment before settling in beside. It ought to have been innocent. 2 souls entwined, finding solace in each other's embrace amidst the tempest's fury. Yet there was an unmistakable absence of innocence in it all. The rain lashed relentlessly against the windows. Elena sensed her heartbeat thrumming in her throat. She tilted her head ever so slightly, revealing Lucas standing there. At this moment, observing her, his expression was a cryptic enigma, indecision, section, a profound essence. The space constricted with each inhalation, each fleeting moment drawing them closer yet further apart. They felt significant. She was capable of walking. Dismiss it with a chuckle. Imagine this was all just a figment of your imagination. Yet, in that moment, Lucas's hand moved, his fingers lightly grazing her cheek. Yet, Elena made no move to intervene. Elena's breath caught in her throat as Lucas's fingers brushed softly against her cheek. His touch was as light as a feather, however intentional. Her body tightened, every nerve on high alert. Awakened in an instant, acutely conscious of the boundary she ought to relocate as they were towing. Withdraw and utter a phrase to break the stillness before it has the chance to evolve into something more. Neither of them could reclaim, yet she chose not to. Instead, she surrendered to the depths of her own wandering. Within the profound depths of his gaze, the serene fervor, the question that lingers in silence. Elena Lucas's voice floated softly, barely rising above a whisper. Yet, within the quietude of the room, the silence resonated with an overwhelming intensity. She gulped with difficulty. "This is incorrect." His thumb glided along the contour of her jawline. Subsequently, "What is it that makes it feel like this? The truest act we have ever undertaken." A tremor coursed through the air. By means of her, for beneath the surface, she understood that he spoke the truth. She had devoted her time. Farewell to the sensation of being unseen. overlooked within the confines of her own marriage, she found herself persuading her heart that solitude was merely an inevitable aspect of existence. Yet with Lucas, there was no denying he saw her amidst the storm outside. The rain roared, pelting against the windows as if nature itself were unleashing its fury. It was as if the very essence of her surroundings sought to silence the decision that loomed before her. She released a tremulous breath. "It is not possible." Lucas remained in place. "Then instruct me to cease." Elena parted her lips. Yet silence lingered, for she remained voiceless. She was the one who closed the distance, pressing her lips to his, yet he wished for it to cease. As their fingers met, a floodgate erupted with unrestrained force. His hands sought her out. Weiss drew her nearer, the tension palpable in the air. The tension that had been accumulating for weeks finally erupted, transformed into an undeniable force. It was a kiss filled with certainty. It was a time of desperate hunger. As if both had longed for this moment, yet fear held them back from acknowledging it. Elena's fingers wove through his hair. Lucas let out a soft groan against her lips, intensifying the embrace of lips. The burden of his presence, the comforting heat radiating from him. His grip on her was tender yet firm, as if she were a treasure beyond compare. It was a torrent of sensations, yet it was undeniably real. In the recesses of her thoughts, reality gripped her tightly. She reminded her of Robert and the unavoidable outcomes that lay ahead. Yet, in that instant, it was of no consequence. What truly mattered was this moment, as they finally drew apart, both gasping for air. Lucas pressed his forehead gently against hers. Telmathes was far more than a mere error. Elena felt a pang in her chest at the raw vulnerability that laced his voice. She still had the power to halt this, seek a means to reverse the events that have just unfolded. Yet, as she gazed into his eyes, brimming with desire and conviction, she was aware the path forward was irrevocable. Her finger tightened around his. "I am uncertain about what to say. This signifies." She confessed to the allure of Lucas's lips, gently caressed her temple. "Let us then ascertain the details." As the storm raged outside, it all came together. Yet, after many years, this moment feels unprecedented. Elena experienced a sensation she had contemplated. She had lost a life. The morning light poured through the living room window, casting a warm glow across the space. The storm had receded, leaving behind a golden glow that illuminated the space, departing from the aroma of moist soil and the soft murmur of a fresh dawn. Yet within, the atmosphere was laden with an intricate complexity. Elena perched on the couch, her knees curled tightly against her chest. The blanket remained draped over her shoulders as she sat across from him. Lucas inclined his body, drawing closer. With elbows propped on his knees, he observed her in quiet contemplation. Silence enveloped them. Everything had shifted last night. Elena traced the rim of the untouched coffee cup in her hands. Her thoughts swirled in a chaotic blend of feelings. Regret did not find its place among them. Yet there was an apprehension, a trepidation about the implications, a dread of what lay ahead. "I ought to have intervened." At last she whispered, her voice just a breath above silence. Lucas let out a breath. He ran a hand through his hair. "Do you long for what might have been?" She gazed up at the boy. Negative. The man who had, in some inexplicable way, unearthed a fragment of her that she had long since interred. The reality was chilling. "No," she admitted it, "but that doesn't justify her actions." Lucas's jaw clenched with tension. The distinction between right and wrong became blurred the instant we allowed it to be so. This occurred. He inched nearer. His voice resonated through the air. Gentler now. "Last night was not Elena's. It was merely a careless error, as you well understand. To a great extent. As I act, so did she. That was the issue at hand. A fragment of her yearned for belief. In a realm where such things were not deemed taboo, they might thrive, where the lines were not so tragically indistinct. Yet the truth was, anticipating Robert stood in anticipation. Elena. A shiver runs down the spine. Gilded eyes curling. Within her belly I possess a husband. The look on Lucas's face. A husband shrouded in shadows, oblivious to your presence. A partner who has allowed you to diminish into the shadows of your own existence. His voice remained unwavering, yet tinged with a hint of frustration. Elena, when was the last moment you sensed your significance to him? She parted her lips to voice her dissent, yet the words eluded her grasp. Indeed, Lucas was correct. Hot tears threatened to spill from her eyes. That does not imply I can simply turn my back and leave. Lucas pierced her with an expression that held a myriad of secrets. Then he extended his hand. Advance. His fingers grazed against hers. Uncertain yet resolute. Perhaps not at this moment. Perhaps not tomorrow, but share this with me. His voice fell as well, barely audible. In a world where only we existed, just the two of us. Would fear still grip you? Elena's breath hitched at the revelation, arrived without a moment's pause. Absolutely not. Lucas let out a breath. A faint melancholic smile began to take shape. He grasped her hand gently for a fleeting moment before letting it slip from his grasp. I shall remain here, patiently awaiting. As he made his way toward the stairs, he left her standing alone. Her musings. Elena came to understand that the truth revealed last night was not a conclusion.